Alrighty, gonna give you guys a kind of a brief summary of where I am now and how I got here. Just been working on the transmission mount. That's my weapon of choice. It's a AHP Alpha TIG. It's one of the less expensive TIG welders, but it's very, very nice. Gets the job done quite well. Has everything you could ever want. Not the highest duty cycle, but it doesn't matter for something like this. And believe it or not, I am tacking this piece together with the worst welder ever made. The good old Harbor Freight piece of crap, flux core, god-awful welder. This thing is pretty much pathetic, but you throw in some Lincoln wire and it does enough to tack weld. Then you just got to grind it down big time, because when you try to TIG weld over a flux core tack weld, it's just got gobs of hard metal and it's not very easy to get really clean. But anyway, I was making the transmission bracket before. Ignore all these holes, only one of them is going to be used. Those are from different setups and all that. See if that'll focus. Yeah. You can see some of the remnants from the tack, but not the best weld in the world, but gets the job done. A little warm still. So this goes in the single transmission mount, goes through there, and then on each side smashes up against the bottom of the car, and then there's going to be another metal plate on top that sandwiches on the floorboard there. So, give you an overview of the focus. There we go. Of the subframe. So we've got a few. I didn't get into detail last time, so I'll just go over every little piece of it. So it's got the one subframe across the middle from the factory. Chop that off, and then you have the suspension that bolts to that, so you need to brace that as much as possible. And then obviously you need to make mounts for the engine. So I've got a bar going from welding from that to the stock front bar up here. If I do this over ever again, I will just make that tubular. There's no point in going to the stock one other than I could, I guess. So that's going from there to there. I've got another support in the middle. These are bolt holes. So that'll be bolted to the frame right there. You can see. Got a little triangulated area for the engine mounts. The engine mounts themselves, right there. These have little rubber isolators in them, so it does have a little bit of movement up front. The transmission mount's going to be a poly mount. To give it a little bit more contact area, surface area, I put that thing in there. Just a little extra bracing and a little bit more contact area, surface area, so that it's more sturdy going to that. This thing itself has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts going to the frame, I believe. And then I've got this piece going across, and I added a little extra piece right there for a larger footprint. And that piece in and of itself isn't entirely necessary, but what I did do was I cut a piece out right there so that it bolts to the firewall so that it can't go left to right. So that'll create just that little bit extra rigidity for whatever that's worth. So the suspension is, I call these the subframe stubbies, the stock ones. That's got plenty of bracing going on it, so it can't go anywhere. I'm not worried about that at all. The subframe is nice and solid. Look at it from here. Looks good. Ground clearance is pretty damn stout. And since I'm remaking the transmission bracket, that bad boy will go up there. That's why the lovely jack stand setup is there. So that's that. Gonna put this on with the poly mount next. Get the angle right. And then I'm going to work on the steering. I've got I think I've already gone over this once, but that's the Mustang 2 manual rack. And then there's the stock power steering rack that I'm going to be mounting. It's going to be kind of a bitch. It's a nice thick unit there that I got to try to get in to not the biggest area, that area down in there. So that'll be interesting. And then I'm going to have to modify this a bit so that it can angle down to the proper spot. But once the steering is done, got a little trick up my sleeve for the steering arms, because they have to go in the front. These are the stock steering arms because the steering rack is in the rear from the factory. So I'm going to have to make some steering arms that move those to the front of the hub there, so that when the steering rack is right there, it'll all fit up. And I'll be able to turn, because, you know, that's a decent idea, is to be able to turn. Nothing's changed in the interior. Not really, just all ripped apart. Probably too dark to see, but right here is where you got to punch through this really thin top layer of the floorboard, and then you'll get the meat and potatoes of the frame there. And you can, that's where I'm going to mount the transmission mount plate that sandwiches it down. Another look at the shifter in comparison to the steering wheel. It's pretty much right in line with, I guess, the windshield wiper stock. So we'll have to figure out where that compares to a factory car, but it's pretty damn close. But yeah, I think that's it for now. If you guys want me to take any specific videos, let me know. I think I got up to like 150 subscribers now, so it's got a fair amount of people following this project. It's kind of fun. So feel free to let me know whatever you want to see, and I'll show you. Thanks. Peace out.